Good morning, friends. Welcome back to Astrology Today. My name is Melanie Rose, and I am here to share your daily astrological aspects. Today is Friday, February 11, 2022. And the sun is in Aquarius for about another week. So as we wind up the sun's transit through Aquarius, we're still kind of paying attention also through to Saturn's transit through Aquarius, which will actually be with us until like 2026 or something. But Saturn rules Aquarius traditionally and co-ruled by Uranus, but especially with Saturn sitting right there in its home sign of Aquarius, it's sort of daytime home sign of Aquarius. It's definitely very heavily influencing our lives right now. So, with Saturn's sort of really heavy influence, and I say heavy because it's very earthen vibe and it's very like, we've got work to do, guys, sort of energy. So, with Saturn sitting in Aquarius like that, the detached and analytical approach of Aquarius can leave us feeling and acting a little bit cold and maybe a little too focused on the work that we're doing, both internal and external. That broad view that we take toward shoring up the foundations not only of ourselves and our homes and loved ones, but our neighborhoods and our communities, so that we can really rely on the support networks that we have built. That's a lot of work. It takes a lot of attention. The community, when you're engaged in it, demands a lot. Sometimes even when you're not engaged in it, it still demands a lot. So, yes, it's important to focus on work and security and stability, but don't forget to attend your friends and family. Don't forget to bring your Aquarius inventiveness and delight in things, sort of intellectual and problem solving, to your relationships with the people that you, again, also seek to maintain for your own support and validation. And the moon is in Gemini this morning. It will move into Cancer. This evening. This evening around 5:30. So this is going to represent a shift in the heart, the home, the body, from a more airy intellectual vibe to a more watery emotional vibe, from sort of out of problem solving and into sort of being at home and mending ourselves, which we all need to take time out to do from time to time. Okay, let's take a look at the planets really quickly, and once we've gone over the planets, we'll go ahead and get into the aspects and some interpretation. At the top of the list, we have the sun, and the sun represents the outer life. This is who we are when we are in our workspace, social space, or civic space. It's who we are when we step out the door and the person that people first get to know when they meet us. And then on the other side of the page, we have the moon, and the moon represents the inner life. This is more your experience of yourself, how you feel in your body, and also those things you think, feel, know, and intuitive from sort of the mind and heart, and as well as how you are and who you are in your home space. After the moon, we have Mercury. Mercury is your personal intellect. That is especially the day-to-day thoughts, plans, and communications that you make, and the running around that you do. Venus is on the page today, representing for Friday. Friday is Venus's day. Venus represents your personal sort of receptiveness to attachment, but receptiveness in general. So, I say love and money. It's really about how you relate to those people and things that you value the most. And then Mars is your personal sense of initiative, whatever that fire is in your gut that gets you moving forward in an assertive way. Saturn is here on the page and like sort of all over the place, representing the structures that we rely on for stability, for personal validation, and our duty to maintain those structures. Uranus comes along and asks, what can we do differently? And Pluto brings us all through these sort of high highs and low lows of experience that eventually lead to our transformation or evolution sort of into the next version of ourselves. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get into these aspects. As you can see, I have divided the page into two columns, one for each of our luminaries. So the moon sheds light on our inner lives, and these very brief transits and aspects have more to do with our thoughts, feelings, and intuitions, as well as how we're feeling in our body. And the sun sheds light on our outer lives. I address the rest of the planets and the sun's aspects here because they take longer and they have more to do with who we are in the outer life. And we start with the sun today, friends. In the ongoing column, let's go ahead and start over here. Today is day 4 of this beautiful, fabulous opportunity to take initiative toward change. This is Mars, your personal sense of initiative, that fire in your gut, in this really harmonic, ideally functioning, synchronistic vibration with the planet for doing things differently. So, Mars has been in Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn, and it's had its nose to the grindstone. It's been working hard, but Mars has this sense of initiative that is very individual. And so, if something has come up for you that you personally have wanted to make a change in your life, inner or outer, but especially when it comes to your work, social, and civic sphere, now is the time. I've been making more changes in my inner life, but I've been home a lot. So it still has to do with how I relate to the outer world. Passionate, self-assured initiative is rewarded here when it represents change. Put a little happy face in there. Don't go off half-cocked though, okay? However quickly you came together with your plan, however quickly your plan was made, make sure there is a plan, like a beginning and a middle and an end to the plan, all right? Mars does like to just sort of rush in like a fool sometimes, and Uranus gives us that sort of quick thinking, intuitive initiative to make plans very quickly and sort of just change up the way that we do things. And that's cool. That's totally blessed under here. Just make sure you have a whole plan. Just give it an extra 2 seconds of thought and say, okay, beginning, middle, end, check. All right, here we go. And then today on the sun side of the page, Central Standard Time, friends, at 2:22 a.m., the sun makes a trine with the moon. Now, this is an indicator of the phase the moon is in. We're sort of at the halfway point now between that first quarter moon and the full moon. In a couple more days or a little less than a week, we'll be at the full moon. So that's really exciting. And, it's time to be acting on our plans, taking some initiative, right? So symbolically, though, sun, trine, moon points to this sort of inner and outer accord. Again, we're talking about harmonious functioning, ideal functioning between your outer life and your inner life here, okay? So you're in balance with yourself. You know what you want. You know how to get it. You know that like your efforts are not even, your thoughts and efforts are not even wasted, okay? So the power of choice is in the moment. And if you have a choice in the moment, take the one you would have, okay? Take the one you would like to have. All right, and it's here and it's here, like initiative, friends. If Uranus is in the mood, if your sense of initiative is in the mood, if your mind, body, and soul are all together, then it's a great time to move forward on anything that you want to do differently or get started, and really just all of the actions that you're making in order to bring yourself to this point of culmination. And then at 8:04 in the morning, the Mercury makes its conjunct with Pluto. This is the second conjunct with Pluto. So back in late January, Mercury was in retrograde and it made a conjunct with Pluto. And then it continued to drift away from Pluto a little bit, but it went direct again. And so it's come its way back to Pluto. And now today they are conjunct with one another. They are completely overlapping, not just close, not just dancing, not just, sort of flirting with each other, but really like literally right on top of one another. If you looked out at the sky and you could see Mercury, you could know Pluto was right out there behind it, okay? So, we've been talking about this for a couple of weeks, and it's really about, noticing the way that we articulate, communicate, plan with ourselves and with others, and leaning into any transformative energies. Okay, we're trying to come out of this somewhat changed. Trying is a funny word because transformation gets us all, but really with a little bit of effort, you can make good progress on your whole life, really. So my question right now is, what fresh strategies have you developed that are ready to be put to action? I put "but" to action. That's funny. Put into action. So this whole time has been about examining ourselves and how we communicate with ourselves, and having these tough conversations with ourselves about how we come to our relationships with other people, and how we just come to our own thoughts, plans, and communications. So, hopefully by now, after a couple of weeks of this, we have some ideas about how we'd like to move forward. And it's time, again, initiative, to go ahead and put it into action, okay? Drive forward, my friends. And then today, on the moon side of the page, the only thing we have going on is at 5:27 in the evening, the moon will make ingress to Cancer. So this is a 2.5-day transit. While the moon is in Cancer, we are very home and body centered, okay? We use water to heal ourselves. We bathe, we make soup, we just, we really nourish, replenish, hydrate ourselves, and attend to our home to like make ourselves comfortable in our home. But Cancer has as its symbol the crab, because it's notoriously home-bodied, but it builds a shell around it, right? The shell is the home, right? And it's somewhat of a defensive structure. It's an exoskeleton. It's meant to keep the outside from getting in unless we absolutely want it to. So, what came to me when I was reflecting on this today was that there was likely some defensive vibration coming in with the moon going into Cancer, and that's fine. It's good to be defensive. It's good to make sure that your doors and windows are secure, that your home is a secure place for you. But, that can be also tiresome, especially if you put a lot of work into your home while the moon is in Cancer. Make sure you get some rest, okay? That's all I'm saying. And coming up on Wednesday is the full moon in Leo. That this will be the sort of culmination point of any I want to say intuitions, but I mean any goals that we have set for ourselves, okay? And we, whether they're long-term goals or goals that we set short-term from the new moon forward, this is the point at which we want to have gotten some things done. We planned, we acted, and now we've got a goal, a culmination met, and that's when we get to celebrate, right? Celebrate what we have created, how far we have come, what we have generated, the work that we have done. Even if we haven't made it all the way to our goal, hopefully we have made it to some point along the way, and we can say, hey, look what I did. I'm so happy, okay? And that full moon is in Leo, so I expect like a really warm, loving vibe to come along with that moon, almost like a sunny disposition for your full moon next Wednesday. And it's usually I do this on Saturday, but it's Friday and there's a lot going on next week, so I went ahead and made up a little section for what's going on next week. Next week on Monday, Mercury is moving into Aquarius, so it will no longer be conjunct with Pluto. It will no longer be in Capricorn with Venus and Mars, okay? Next week on Wednesday, Venus and Mars in Capricorn are going to go conjunct. They're going to be there for several weeks. So that is, your receptive sense, your a relationship to those people that you like, love, and can't get enough of, and your sense of initiative sort of locked in together and amplifying, brightening one another's effects. We'll be able to see them together in the sky, in fact. So I'm looking forward to that. And then next Thursday, Jupiter makes this sextile with Uranus. This is like growth and expansion and positive good fortune in a cooperative vibration with doing things differently. And on Friday, the sun is going to make ingress to Pisces. So really, we have a week left of the sun in Aquarius, and then we're moving on to Pisces. So that's excellent news. I do want to take a moment here just to highlight the influence of Saturn in our lives once again, because Saturn rules both Capricorn and Aquarius. So the sun is in Aquarius, so Saturn is there. The moon, no, not so much, but Mercury is in Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn. Venus is in Capricorn, Mars is in Capricorn, and Pluto is in Capricorn. So that's 5 planets that are currently under Saturn's influence. And especially because these are very personal planets, those are really about your intellect, your love and money, and your sense of initiative, right? It's all focused on those Saturn themes of structural integrity, of feeling firm foundations, and understanding our responsibility to keep our foundations in good order. Whereas Pluto is about making transformation. So, as we are looking to our foundations, we're also looking to see what we can change. Yay, Aquarius. Okay, so there's that. And we're going to do a little separate thing on Pluto eventually, because Pluto, as of March, will be in its last year in Capricorn for like 25 years. So we're going to make a big shift in what we're transforming after next year, or after March of next year. So that's something that's coming up that we really need to talk about, because we've been making huge shifts in our foundational structures, right? We've seen a lot of stuff come under question and be forced to change, especially in our outer lives. So more of that for about a year, but we're going to come back to it. So Saturn is here, and Saturn is here, and Saturn is here, and here. So, don't be fooled into this, that's not correct, complacency, or into this idea that, that this is all just random information, okay? The stars really ask us to focus in on one thing at a time. Even if it seems like there's a lot of stuff going on, that's just because there are a lot of aspects to living life, inner and outer, okay? So there are a lot of little things we have to take care of. We have to think about, we had Venus in retrograde, we had to think about our relationships and how we receive and how we give in relationship. And Mercury was in retrograde. We had to think about how we communicate and plan, and all of this has been around the subject of your own personal stability and our cultural stability as well. So despite the many different symbols you see, there's usually one sort of theme that's threaded throughout it, and at this point it's Saturn. It's that structural, that foundational stability, and our duty to maintain it. Okay, and that's all I'm going to say about the aspects today. I appreciate y'all tuning in. If you're tuning in, if you're still here, go ahead and, like my page, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the notification bell. You could share this with somebody if you think it will resonate with them, if they're interested in astrology, or, if they're just struggling with these foundational questions. It always helps to have a little bit of just acknowledgement that, we're all struggling a little bit here. We're all working for it. You got to work for it too. These transformations, they do happen on their own, but they happen much more successfully if we go into them consciously. And now I'm going to go into the tarot portion of this, just a few more minutes here. I want to first talk to you about the tarot card that is on the side here. This is the tarot card that represents the last 10 days of the sun's transit through Aquarius. So that being said, the 7 of Swords is about our thoughts, plans, and communication, very Mercury vibe, right? And as you can see, this one looks like somebody's trying to get away with something that isn't theirs. Okay, so there is a deceitful energy. No wonder we might have sort of a defensive vibe. Last night there was sort of a paranoid vibe on the books. I was awake for it. I wasn't paranoid, but I was pretty unhappy about being awake. So I had to try to get through that with as much grace as possible. This is, it looks like theft. Theft is a form of deceit, and this card really talks about deceit, trying to get away with things. And we all try to get away with things from time to time. To pretend that some people do that kind of thing and other people don't is very silly. There are many different ways in which we have strategies that help us move forward, sometimes to the detriment of other people. So, the reminder is that we do all keep secrets. We do all try to get away with things in one way or another. Sometimes in a tricky situation with like a difficult person or a difficult interaction, we might find that the less we have to say, the better, right? Like maybe it's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission sometimes. Okay, just be careful that whatever deceit that you're doing, whatever it is you're trying to get away with, it isn't harming anyone. Okay, and don't deceive anybody if you don't have to. Don't take things you don't have to take. Okay, don't withhold information from people that you don't have to withhold, because withholding information is the same thing. It's still a deception. It's still a lie. Okay. All right, and I have switched to a different deck of cards here, hoping to get a little more of an intuitive edge on the one card pull for the end of the daily aspects. I'm just going to remind myself right now that the Sun and Saturn are in Aquarius. The Moon is a waxing gibbous, so we're in action phase. And moving out of Gemini into Cancer this evening, so still creative, but maybe perhaps more defensive and definitely more home and body focused. And we have all this really awesome initiative stuff on the Sun side of the page. Sun trine Moon, Mars trine Uranus is just like, go for it, go for it. If there's something that you want to do, if there's something you need to change, if there's something, you feel inspired on impulse to act upon, as long as you know that, like, hey, I have a plan, I really think it's going to work, then, go for it. Go for it. What fresh strategies have you developed that you're ready to put into action, right? So that's the encouragement right now, is to take action all across the board. And with that, I'm going to lay this card down, the World. Okay, so the first thing that comes up is the Pluto on the page, right? The World is the end of a cycle. It is the last of the major arcana cards. The next card in the major arcana would go back to the Fool, the fresh beginning, right? So the World is the end of the cycle. It says, we have come to a point of completion. I hope you made all the starts that you wanted to make. I hope you've been taking advantage of the opportunities that are available. We have achieved what we set out to do, or we're very close to it. All right. We have all the elements at our disposal, and it's not like the Magician card, like, I've got the power to do anything. It's like, yeah, I've done everything I meant to do. Okay. And the message that comes across to me with the World is also, like, this is a phase of this is the end of a cycle. It's also a phase of completion, of understanding, sort of like the full moon, that nice round circle there. It's just sort of a reminder, like, yes, we've come to this point where we feel complete in the self that we thought that we could create. Okay, but that means that we are going to have to create the next self now. Okay, it's important to have an idea what your fresh strategies are, what you want to get started on now, how you want to do things differently. It's important to take initiative from this point to move forward, even if that takes you into the phase of being the Fool, because being the Fool is so delightful in some ways, like being completely ignorant and just like, I'm going to set out on this path and learn what I can and do what I can. And there are going to be ups and downs, but at some point I'm going to be a complete person again. All right, so that is what I have to say about that today. I appreciate you all so much for showing up and seeing this today, and I will be back here tomorrow. I'll see you all back here tomorrow for more daily aspects. This is Melanie Rose.